Deep within a bleak and dismal era, hidden within the murky internet, lies the headquarters of the most sinister geeks of all time. A Legion on Zoom.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Legion on Zoom. As always and forever, I am Ches.
And I'm Miguel.
I'm Rod.
And this is first for the Legion. It's our first post-selection episode. Hopefully we have many more to come, and that's pretty epic considering it'll be one every 4 years. And it looks like the blue guy won, Mr. Biden. And, well, from the looks of it, we'll see how that pans out by January, see if that's still the case. And on the heels of that, the Legion will be getting into some deep and heavy comic-based political science later on in this episode. We're going to discuss the things that matter, and you're going to see why they matter, because in the comic book world, within that realm, politics are important. And it's not shit that people think about often because they take it for granted. But there's definitely all those political systems exist within the comic book world. And today, a bit later in the episode, we're definitely going to get into that. But yeah, in the news, we spoke about this a few episodes ago. Javicia Leslie was cast as Batwoman after Miss Ruby Rose had decided to quit. And we got our first look as Batwoman, guys. What do you think?
And it was like the first, because we had gotten already a look, right? But I think this is like the first like official look, right? And the costume looks different, right? Than what was her name? Ruby Rose costume, yeah. Right? I liked it. I think it looked pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a little different. It looks more like more tactical, I think. And I mean, hopefully this makes the show good. You know, with Tommy Elliott / Bruce Wayne running around and a new Batwoman, maybe, you know, it'll be worth watching this time.
Yeah, the one thing I was concerned about is, all right, so with Batwoman in the comics, she has like a flaming red mane of hair, you know what I mean? And that's just a distraction from who she really is outside of the suit, because she doesn't have any flaming red hair. Now, with Miss Leslie, I noticed that her hair is a tad different. Are they going to go that same route, or is she going to have the same hair outside of the suit also? Because I noticed that there's some like red highlights. So is she going to have like a different hairstyle when she's not Batwoman, or is she going to keep the same hairstyle in suit and out of the suit? Like, is that a wig while she's Batwoman is my question. Are they going to continue the same identity?
Yeah, I watched the pilot of the first season, and I like the fact that she puts on the wig to let people know that that's not Batman doing these things, right? It's a new person, and it's a woman, right? So I like the way that they meshed that into the plot itself. With Javicia, I don't know, maybe it's just like a stylistic thing. I'm guessing that's her actual hair, so it's not part of a disguise. You know, it's cool.
Because, I mean, wouldn't it be kind of easy to identify her when she's out of the costume as a vigilante?
But look at Nightwing, though, right? He's always running around, like, with minimal facial covering. So you got to, suspend disbelief for a moment.
You got to think about, like the Robins, right? All Robins was just that, like
which I really liked when they included the hood. They started including the hood with Damian Wayne. And then they started using the hood in Arkham City for Tim Drake Robin. I'm like, that's a great addition to the character's look. Because now he's, and also like, if there's a sniper on a roof, okay, look what happened to Nightwing, right? Then he gets shot by KGBs because he had no head covering.
Exactly.
I like the fact that the hood gives him a tactical, protection. I mean, come on. Like Batman, his whole fucking shit is covered.
My only thing is that, like, when it came to Nightwing and the other Robins, outside of the Domino mask, I think that's that style of name for mask is called, they're pretty generic looking dudes. Like, they all just have very short hair. You know what I mean? Like, they're very, like, albeit all handsome and, like, genetic specimens, because for some reason that's part of the recruiting process to be part of the Bat family. You have to have great genetics. But it's like, they're all very generic. If that's her same hairstyle out of the costume, she can easily be picked out, because at the end of the day, what she's doing is illegal as a vigilante. It could be like, yeah, it was someone with like really puffy, high volume hair and red highlights in between. Yeah, look, that's her right over there.
No, I agree with that. I do think I would hope that they do because I do think I haven't read much Batwoman. I started reading not that long ago, and I think that's kind of what she does. And when I have read obviously Kate Kane in the Detective comic books, but like and that's what she does, right? That it's a wig that she adds on, like it's not her actual long hair. And I think it'd be cool if they keep that up, that it's like a wig, even if it's like something so minimal difference as like the highlights or without highlights, like
and I just want to make it known, hashtag uncancel Ches. I'm not anti natural hair. Like, I'm fine with the natural hair being a wig as part of her Batwoman costume. It just can't be the same hairstyle in and out of the suit as per the whole Batwoman lore. That's what I'm saying. I'm pro natural hair, but you have to be practical about it.
Damn, I wasn't even thinking that you meant that, dude. But now I'm worried, dude. Jesus, Chess. Thanks for clarifying that.
I'm so controversial because I'm so woke.
I mean, you have a point there because for the fans that read Heroes in Crisis was as Tom King and Clay Mann, right?
Right.
They gave Batgirl a new look where she has minimum mask now. It's just basically the two bat ears and like a minimal domino mask. And it's like James Gordon's like, yeah, Batgirl, good job. Like that's his daughter. Like that's basically her.
Word. That's why you gotta add a little bit. Like, yes, like I wanna, I'm gonna suspend disbelief because obviously it's like these are people in tights just jumping off of rooftops. But it's like
very true.
At least a little bit, like because for example, like it's like that whole Superman shit, right? Like. Like just his glasses, just Clark Kent and Superman. Exactly. Like let's not do that with the Bat family, right? Like let's give him a little bit more of a twist.
Yeah, that one I've always had an issue with, man. Like I get it. Superman is the OG superhero, like he's the archetype, but it's like, damn. Like I felt like everyone's intelligence has always been insulted on that one. Is like, wow, it really is just frames on his face. It's the same guy.
And obviously not to divert, because we're going to talk about this at some future episode because I haven't read about this, but you guys know, right? Because this was big news before we started the podcast that Superman came out as Clark Kent in the comic books and like his identity is revealed and all that. And there was a big deal with Bendis's run. I haven't read it yet because I've been waiting for it to basically land on the DC Universe app.
Oh, sure.
And so I'm curious to see how they do it, right? And I hope it's because of something so simple as like, oh, right, this is dumb, and just see. But I loved it, though. Like, I did like that it was part of Superman's mythos, right? That just the glasses were his like fucking mask,
Yeah, that's one thing I'll give it to Marvel Comics. Their stories age better, right? Because you still have, Bruce Wayne's parents getting shot outside of a movie theater in a dark alley
all the time,
and then you have Dick Grayson.
I
don't know if there's even circuses anymore. Like, is that still a thing? But with Marvel, I mean, like they make their stories modern easily. Like, look at Iron Man and things like that.
For a modern Nightwing, it has to be like Cirque du Soleil or something like that. No animals, you can't hurt it.
And he has to be Brazilian.
Yep.
or Italian, I think. I don't know exactly, but it's gotta be something.
And speaking of interesting updates on origins and being also politically correct, I wonder how they're going to address what's going on with Oscar Isaac when hopefully it's confirmed that he's cast as Moon Knight. Because if I'm not mistaken, I forgot what's his real name.
Mark Spector.
Yeah, Mark Spector. Doesn't he deal with like some like either... I think it's like emotional issues or like a mental imbalance of some sort. I hope that gets addressed correctly or as correctly as it can be with today's impossibly high standards.
Word. I think that his mental health has been a big part of his run in all the different books. I haven't read all of the different runs of Moon Knight. I've read some key ones. Like there's a one by Brian Michael Bendis and Alex Malib, which is one of his like key, artists that he works with. He did this Daredevil run together, and that Moon Knight was really good. And I do think a thing with Mark Spector is that it's kind of thing like before it seems like because his origin right is that he dies, and then this ancient Khonshu, it's named like an Egyptian god,
Deity of some sort, yeah.
the moon god, brings them back to life, and then he has like multiple personalities, and but in a weird way, like he's just like he's different people. Like in this big run by Brian Michael Bendis, there's multiple personalities, but presented itself as he thought that he was Wolverine, that he was Captain America, and then he was Spider-Man at the same time. Yeah,
at the same time.
Yeah, like he would switch character. Like it was weird, but it was really cool. But then, like sometimes I think it's also they're saying, well, it's because of what happened to him that he died and came back, and it's kind of like Khonshu fucking with his head. It's a little bit interesting, but like I would definitely love to see it how it plays out, and I would love to see Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight.
Yeah, the one thing I've been thinking about over time is, especially the way you broke it down like that, you just can't help but wonder, why would the other heroes / vigilantes kind of like allow him to even operate? That sounds more like a hazard. You know what I mean? Like he's just like out there, just. And mind you, for those of you who don't know, aside from the brief origin story that Miguel gave, Moon Knight's power set includes, like top tier human conditioning, like he's one of the best martial artists on the planet, like probably like top 10, top 15, something like that. He's like a master of like a whole array of different weapons, including like ancient Egyptian weaponry and shit like that. So it's like having a guy like that with like all that stuff going on top. Like, does that sound like something other heroes want? Like, I hope that gets addressed in a practical way.
I mean, it can't be worse than having like Frank Castle running around, right?
But wait. At least Frank Castle's focused. You know what I mean? He's crazy, but he's one dude. And like Frank, okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing for Frank Castle. As you guys know, I have a soft spot for the Punisher. It's not like he's a liability. He's hyper focused. Frank Castle's like having a laser out there. He's not a loose cannon, if you think about it. Is that like all that shit like that? He's chaotic. That's all propaganda.
I think he's the definition of a loose cannon. I think like the most loose cannon character in Marvel is Frank Castle.
Not at all. Not at all.
I'm pretty sure if you read the scripts of the Punisher movies, one of them says loose cannon.
I just to side with Chess a little bit here, actually, is like I guess what you're saying, because at least with the Punisher, he's predictable. I think what kind of chaos he's gonna do, create, who he's gonna go after. Like it's kind of, you don't really have to worry too much that the Punisher's all of a sudden is gonna start killing heroes, that kind of stuff.
Like he's not gonna lose it. Like he's not crazy. It's like he's
not.
No. You know what? Okay, I'll put Frank Castle on that shit that people put the Joker in, where he's super sane. You know what I mean? That bullshit term that gets thrown around with the Joker. That one of his like powers, for lack of a better term, that he has like super sanity. Like he's aware that he's a comic book character, that fourth wall breaking shit, except that Frank Castle's not that far, but it's like he's not insane.
Wait, I want to break this down a little bit more because I don't know what you're talking about. Like I think you've mentioned this before, but like no, not really. What are you talking about? What is this fourth wall breaking Deadpool ability that he has? Like what's this?
Yeah. It's a thing that like
we need fact checkers on this.
Yeah, like the Joker and Deadpool have like the same ability. It's called super sanity or something like that, where they're aware that they're comic book characters. That's where they're able to break the fourth wall. Yeah.
Shut up. That's not canon. Like
Yo, there's been iterations of Joker where that's part of like his power set. You can even Wikipedia that shit, like on like the official like the Joker profile. Like he even on like the fandom wiki or whatever, he has like it's part of like who he is.
Bro, the most insane character in DC Comics, you're saying, is the most sane character.
Oddly enough, yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to find verification on this.
That's the thing. And but we'll circle back to that.
Have you heard about that, Rod? Like, did you know this?
I thought it was just like a joke that he thinks he's sane, but I don't know.
Not saying that he's sane by practical terms, but like he understands like shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to describe. I don't know. it's hard to put into a concise manner.
Maybe after he put on the mask in that crossover comic book, that's when he probably became Super Saiyan, right?
Possibly.
That was like the meta Uber Joker.
Yeah, that's a total possibility. Yeah, that's a total possibility. But yeah, like I just wonder how like that's gonna get addressed, having a guy as unstable as Mark Spector out there.
Man, I just want to see the costume.
Yeah,
I want
that's
that first look image so I could just drool over it.
Oh my God! Yes. And actually, this leads to one of the other points we wanted to mention. Wait, what?
I have a thing. I just thought of a beef I have. I literally just came up with a beef. So this being the political science episode, I want to address some socioeconomic issues I've noticed within comic bookdom. So Mark fucking Spector, if I'm not mistaken, is a billionaire playboy, right?
I don't know about a playboy, but he is a billionaire. Yeah.
Like Tony Stark, like
Yep.
Bruce Wayne, like Oliver Queen, like Hank Pym. Not a billionaire, but a millionaire, I'm sure, because of patents and shit. Like, what's up with only the rich guys getting picked by deities and destiny and having greatness thrust upon them? Like, we need more Peter Parker-esque broke dudes out there being great.
Hell yeah.
We need some fucking equal opportunity. We need some more heroes from the middle class. That's BS.
Actually, now that you mentioned that, that's also why, well, he's not necessarily middle class technically, but I'm thinking I cannot wait to see the showdown, hopefully, between Moon Knight and Daredevil, right? Because like Daredevil is that other, he's not fucking rich, he's a lawyer, right? So obviously he makes money.
Matt Murdock has money though.
Nah, but a lot of the work that he does as a lawyer is very como he said, like that's not like he doesn't do corporate law and stuff like that. And he's one of the good lawyers, the ones that make money, obviously, but not like ridiculous amounts, not Tony Stark money,
I'll put it like this though. I don't put him in the upper tax bracket, but I think Matt Murdock would have to worry about Biden's tax plan.
Probably a little bit, but he would be for Biden's tax plan. He'd be okay.
Yeah, he would.
But what I'm saying, like, so that would be dope, right? Because that's the other news to mention, right? That we're very excited, right? That apparently, what is it, at the end of the month, right? At the end of December, it's in November or December that the rights of Daredevil go back to Marvel. So, my God, like from Netflix giving it back to Marvel, yo, man, if they, with Moon Knight coming out, if they please bring Charlie Cox back as Daredevil.
If Disney doesn't bring back Charlie Cox, it will show an amount of hubris. It will show like a biblical amount of hubris on their part. Like, yo, you really think you could cast better than that? Like, really? No, you can't. Unless they bring back Ben Affleck.
Word. I'm going to say that they're going to recast. I'm going to say that they're going to, so that the Netflix shows aren't canon, which they aren't. They're going to go a different direction entirely. And I don't think Daredevil's going to appear in Spider-Man either, like people are speculating, because I don't think that Daredevil's part of that Sony Spider-Man package, of all those characters that they got the film rights for. And Marvel's, unless they come up with some type of deal, I don't see Kevin Feige giving Sony that one. They gave him Doctor Strange. We'll see what happens.
Well, it's not that they gave them, right? It's that
allow them to use.
Right, exactly, because it's still within the MCU universe, and so they're allowed to kind of go back and forth. But but exactly like what you're saying, this is going to be the first time we're going to have key MCU characters in the Spider-Man movie versus Spider-Man in the MCU movies, right? So that'll be a big deal. I honestly think, from a financial point of view, given it's COVID, right? It's hard times financially, that I think it would be smart for them to say they were canon, the Netflix shows, because they weren't just Netflix, right? They were kind of like Spider-Man and with Sony and Marvel, where the Netflix shows were with Marvel too, right? And so they could just, because come on, like you guys had great shows, great fucking characters. Like Chess said, why go through all the problem of recasting? Because honestly, I would rather have a season 4 of Daredevil than a She-Hulk, show, or like a Miss Marvel show, like, which I'm like, that'd be fun shows. But okay, for example, even this, would you prefer season 4 Daredevil, right? We get to see what happens with Bullseye and Charlie Cox back as Daredevil, or the season premiere of Moon Knight? What would you prefer?
But we could have all of that shit at once, though. because remember, yeah, throw in a season 4 of Daredevil, right? But it's gonna go off of Netflix, so it'll be a season 1 of Daredevil on Hulu and Disney Plus, but with Charlie Cox. And what do? In that season 1, you introduce, oh, and I hope that she gets confirmed as a casting. You bring in She-Hulk because she's also a lawyer.
Yeah,
They could be working on opposite sides of a case in the courtroom. You bring her into into that universe. Bam, that's it. That's done. Then it would be essentially Daredevil, She-Hulk, and Bullseye in one season. I could see all that shit working out with like her being like his main adversary in the courtroom, but becoming an ally. She becomes like her hero character of She-Hulk towards the end of the season while he battles Bullseye. Then the season after that, you also introduce Miss Marvel into the world. I don't know, some crazy shit as like a paralegal part-time. I don't fucking know.
All right. The only way I'm down for that is if it's integrated the Netflix universe via Hocus Pocus from whatever Wanda's gonna do in her show and then Multiverse of Madness. I think that the Netflix universe should be separate, like an Earth 2. And if they want to fuse them, like using, a good plot device, yeah. Otherwise, I say that it should have like an entirely different Matt Murdock, Luke Cage.
Damn.
Why you hating on Charlie Cox though, man?
Just make movies. I mean,
man. I feel like
I would not be mad at a Defenders movie with the all new Luke Cage, all new Daredevil.
Damn, man. I didn't know you had so much hate this morning.
Yeah, now I'm hating.
I feel like the only thing with that
Charlie.
No, go for it. We're like riled up by this.
It's not canon, guys. It's not canon, those shows. I'm sorry to break it to you.
¿Qué te pasa? No, because come on, I'm thinking, because I think they are canon, because there were moments, at least or especially in the first season, where they do address events in the MCU. They address the big alien attack of the in the first Avengers movie, and that kind of stuff, and the destruction, and they mention like Iron Man and stuff like that in passing, and like in Jessica Jones and other shows. So they are within that world, kind of the same way that I feel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. still is in that world. So I think you don't necessarily need full on Hocus Pocus to connect them. The only thing, it would be cool to see them. What I would think would be, in terms of plot wise, they would have to address hardcore, like the snap, right? If they truly are part of the canon, right? Like we have to see, like, did some of them get snapped out of existence? How did they deal with the chaos of, imagine that, even just a season of them dealing with the chaos of the snap, if, like, let's say if Luke and Jessica were snapped and then Charlie Cox is still there, that would be dope to watch. And I don't think that'd be super hard Hocus Pocusy, because it's not like that this different, that's that. All right, I'm done.
Now, yeah, like, I think all that shit could be addressed with like a couple of carefully placed like pieces of dialogue here and there, and with like and some like carefully addressed scenes and shit. All of that stuff could be addressed. But to get rid of John Bernthal, Charlie Cox, who's the chick that played Jessica Jones?
I forgot her name.
Wow, we're horrible for this.
Just put John Bernthal as Logan. All right.
Oh, come on.
And in the discussion,
Jesus Christ, no.
He should be Logan.
Nah, man. Nah, that's our Punisher. That's our people's Punisher right there.
Nah, Dolph Lundgren all day.
Kristen Ritter. Kristen Ritter was
right.
Yeah. For example, so to get rid of like John Bernthal, Charlie Cox,
quick.
Kristen Ritter.
Oh, I don't know Iron Fist.
That guy from Game of Thrones.
Word. And also like Luke Cage, I forgot his name. So we got Finn Jones for Iron Fist.
Jones.
I'll never forget Luke Cage's name. Michael Coulter. He was the man.
Michael Coulter, right?
He was the man.
That mountain of chocolate manliness.
He's the man, but you want to see him gone for good, right?
He's
Come on, man.
Is that once I saw him sign up for other shows, I'm like, how's he gonna make time for Luke Cage now?
He can't work? What's going on? Like, you're like mad possessive.
My guy's on like 2 other networks.
You want all these people to become destitute amongst COVID?
Nah, they'll get the check from Biden. Biden's gonna cut new checks for all of us.
Wavy.
Yo, I'd be okay if Biden cuts specific checks for the Daredevil, for the Netflix, Marvel characters, and renews their seasons. I yes, that's why I voted for him. Like, that's what we got to do. Yes.
I mean, while bringing up stimulus checks, it would be nice to get another one to cover all our entertainment expenses, considering that we have Comixology Unlimited, Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max. We all, like, come on, that's already what, like almost $100 a month just on entertainment from all the outlets that we got to consume to keep our fans informed and entertained. It should be tax write-offs.
And we're supporting the economy, right? We are an integral member supporting the comic book industry, which eventually this leads, we're feeding comic book artists by our support of these services. And I'm assuming, or something, or some big company, one or the other. I think probably Comixology is owned by Amazon. So it's just probably just money's going to Lord Bezos, and that's it.
But on our page, if our fans want to go out there and check it out, which reminds me, quick shout out to our fan base in India, which as per our metrics has been surprisingly large. We never expected that. Shout out to everyone in India, whoever you may be. Keep downloading and keep listening. We see you guys. We love you guys. Thank you so much.
Yes, totally. Though I think just to add to that, I think it's very cool that we're seeing exactly that we're getting consistently downloaded in India. If you're listening to this right now and you are from India, we would love to hear from you. Either, shoot us an email at legiononzoom@gmail.com, or, message us on our Instagram account, just Legion on Zoom. And we would love to know, like, where are you from? What part of India? What do you like about this show? And what would you like for us to talk about? We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, word. And also shout out to our third biggest market, which would be Mexico. So yeah, thanks guys too, just in case.
All right, yeah. For that, thanks, mom and sister, for listening to my show. Like in Mexico. We know also our boy Ricardo. He's also listening from Mexico too. Like, we've commented on him before.
Yeah. But essentially, I forgot what I was saying before I mentioned the fan base in India. Anybody remember exactly? I was on a specific train with that.
Well, we were talking about how Rod hates like the all the Netflix shows and just the characters, and wishes them to never come back.
Right.
Oh no, yeah. Because I was saying, I remember I was saying that it'd be nice to get another stimulus, because that way we can pay off all our entertainment expenses.
Maybe we should stop begging at this point.
Right. But I think, and then I guess just to wrap up the last news, right? Because we got some cool newscasting from Stargirl, no? Like, we were actually just talking about this off air, right? About so Jade and Eclipso have been officially cast in for season 2 of Stargirl, and I know close to nothing about these characters, so this is on you guys. What's up?
Let me see. If I'm not mistaken, Eclipso is some form of deity, like a minor deity, and he's a Green Lantern villain. And Jade is the daughter of Green Lantern Alan Scott, who got her powers passed down via her father because he got his Green Lantern's ability via magic from a stone.
Yeah, his jizz had like the Owen willpower energies on it. I don't know what the fuck happened.
Damn.
Yeah. That's as far as I go with that knowledge right there. That's just off the top of my head. But it'd be interesting to see how they get played into like the whole Stargirl show, which I can totally see happening.
Yeah, Eclipso is probably gonna be the main bad guy, and I remember that character as a Captain Marvel villain, but it might be Green Lantern or just like a DC Universe villain. But yeah, he's like a magic-based character with a little gemstone that can take over anybody. I think, like some shit like that. And I think at for the post-credit scene of season 1, they show like, I don't remember which character exactly, but somebody finds the Eclipso rock, or there's like a box labeled Eclipso, whatever.
And with Jade, so tell me, with Jade, is she like, does she have like Green Lantern powers without a ring, or like what's her deal?
Yeah, the best way I could put it, as far as I remember for Jade, imagine Green Lantern abilities with a Human Torch aesthetic in green.
Oh shit, that looks dope as fuck. That'd be cool to see.
Yeah. From the comics. I don't know if it'll go that route. Go ahead, Rod.
Yeah. Now, I give that description more to Fire from Fire and Ice of the Justice League International. But yeah, otherwise.
Yeah. Because
she's like a green-skinned Green Lantern.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah. So like she glows when she uses her powers and stuff like that. Her direct connection, how it goes with the power battery and OA and the core, that I'm not sure though. All that stuff gets intricate. It's like being a cop and being part of a like a precinct, as you guys would imagine, in different tiers and shit. So that I'm not too sure of.
Yeah, and I was actually blown away. I didn't even know that I didn't know that Alan Scott had a daughter, and that she's like a superhero. So that's kind of cool. And also, like, just as just doing due diligence of googling this information, I found out that she's also the daughter of a character called Rose Canton, also AKA known as Thorn. Which this is a character that I just recently learned about, because she's like basically used heavily in the Superman run by Brian Michael Bendis, which is an okay run. It's not an incredible run, but it's okay. And it has great art. That's one of the best things. Anyway, but Rose is an interesting character because she's like has kind of like what we were saying with Moon Knight. She has like multiple personalities. Like it's just two basically. Actually, it's Rose, which is just like regular person, and then Thorn. She's the superhero, but she's like a loose cannon. We're going back to some of the terms we've used so far. Where she has like superhuman strength and that kind of stuff, and it's one of those things when she switches between one or the other, she doesn't know what the other person did. And something cool that I just recently read, because like Brian Michael Bendis is also like restarted like the Legion of Superheroes, right? And so apparently like Rose is also like immortal. So Jade's mom is like immortal, like she's lived. Yeah, like it was this I read this one book where she's like, we see her throughout all these different futures, reaching until, I mean, not different futures, I mean like moving time.
That's deep.
Until they reach the Legion of Superheroes time.
Yeah.
Which is like what year? Like 3000 or something like that. I don't know. But that's cool. So that'd be interesting, because if she's being introduced in Stargirl, like damn, that's gonna be cool if they start to then address these, Alan Scott and the history with Thorn and that kind of stuff. It'll lead to an interesting season 2 and for Stargirl.
Oh, I was thinking that'd be so cool to see like a live action Alan Scott, who I low-key hate his costume because he has a baggy shirt, but still, it'd be cool to see fucking like a live action Alan Scott Green Lantern. That'd be epic. Now, yeah, so yeah, that would definitely, and hopefully he even appears on the HBO Max show. It'd be cool to see Alan Scott on that Green Lantern show. I was thinking about that too. But anyway, back to the main spirit of this episode, the heart and soul, and the spirit of democracy, and the spirit of the Republic in America on the heels of the election, how we mentioned earlier on in this episode. As I stated earlier, comics are an integral part of the comic book universe, whether you're talking about DC or Marvel or any of the comic book universes. Innately, like, all worlds are held together by structure, and a lot of the times they happen to be political in nature. Like, no shit, that's how it goes. So, guys, there's something that I wanted to discuss with you all. Out of all the comic book political leaders that we know, which one's top or at the top of your list? Because I'm sure we might have different opinions on this matter, since we're all very different people.
Damn, that's a good question. The top, I think I just need a refresher of like, so who have been top political leaders? Because we have political leaders in comic books that are like outside of the United States, right? So we have like, obviously a clear one is T'Challa, right? King of Wakanda, right? So we have that outside, and we have like Dr. Doom, right, from Latveria.
Yeah.
We've had people in the U.S. in the comic book world of the U.S., right, that were in political offices, like Norman Osborn was. Yeah. No, I'm confused. Norman Osborn, I know
he's been mayor of New York, but it's still a position of leadership. And you had
he was.
Wasn't he? Like, I remember him being like mayor.
J. Jonah Jameson, I think.
No, J. Jonah Jameson was.
J. Jonah Jameson. No, right? Because he was running Shield basically, right? It became Hammer, and so it's not technically a political, right? I guess thing.
Yeah. I was thinking about Jameson. My bad. I was thinking about
and Kingpin, and actually, and we had Fisk became mayor as well, and I think he's the current mayor actually of New I don't know. Well, actually, I don't know exactly, but in the current Spider-Man run, that's a big thing that they're dealing with. That Spider-Man has to deal with Mayor Fisk, which is like crazy.
And then you also have our dictator types, like you mentioned with Dr. Doom. You have your Namor of Atlantis and Marvel. Then you have your Arthur Curry, who's the Aquaman of DC. Then, if you want to go even off-world, you have a real dictator in Asgard, which is Odin.
Oh.
So, yeah, we definitely got our options out there. I mean, I want to start by saying, okay, from what I've heard, And this is gonna sound a bit crazy, but Doctor Doom is kind of like a Fidel Castro type, where it seems like they've ruled with an iron fist. But aren't the people in both Cuba and Latveria supposed to be like happy and productive from what we hear? Like, it's just that Doom is kind of like an ass about it.
I don't know. So I'm not completely sure, but I don't think the thing with Cuba gets tricky because I do know there's a lot of people that hate. So I know if we've had any Cuban listeners right now, they probably just reacted. You know,
Like,
they can
what?
either react one way or the other, and for the most part, no, they've lived some oppression with Fidel Castro.
Of
But then
course,
it gets complicated, obviously, because you know, U.S. embargo doesn't help and that kind of stuff, right? So they're forcing them to fucking be terrible. Anyway, the point is, so with Doctor Doom, though, that's true, though, right? I do think I recently read a book. I don't remember which one. I think it's there was just recently a miniseries of Doom that was actually pretty good and drawn by Salvador La Roca, which is like a pretty cool artist that I haven't
Shout
seen.
out.
Yeah, like I haven't seen his work in a minute. I remember I loved him in X-Men and Iron Man. And so he was cool to see him do that. And where they do kind of show like, well, yeah, the people in Latveria are pretty happy. Like they do live in fear, obviously, because they do have that whole, like China type of thing where it's like you can't say anything bad because then immediately you're gonna get fucking killed or something or like thrown into a dungeon. But I do think they pretty much live a pretty prosperous life, I think.
Well, you see, like that's what I mean. I think like when they created Latveria, they made it like an amalgamation between Cuba and China. You know what I mean? Where it's like you fear the big government, and that's the word I was looking for. Not that they're happy, but they're prosperous. Those two things don't necessarily have to be inclusive of each other. You know what I mean? Like the people could be prosperous, they don't necessarily have to be happy.
And I will say at least one thing for Dr. Doom, because it's also not like, because we've had classic villains that want to rule, right? They want to rule the world and they want to rule a certain country. I think, but like just for like a power hunger kind of thing, right? But for Dr. Doom, it's not that. I think like Dr. Doom really cares about this is his country, his people, and he's running it like the best way that he thinks he can, right? But so at least shout out to that. He's obviously a bit of a dictator, may not be the best approach, but he does care about it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not doing it just to be the ruler.
Are we counting like other worlds too? Like Apocalypse?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For example, like, yeah, because I had mentioned Odin, but I guess if you want to go the antithesis of Odin, it would be Darkseid.
Yeah. But you said Odin is the dictator, though. I don't know. Isn't he sleeping most of the time?
No, the Odin sleep occurs like once for 24 hours every 1,000 years or something.
I feel like he'd be chilling.
Like that. Nah, Odin is a dick, dude. If you remember, like in Thor Ragnarok, Hela exposes how much of a dick Odin actually is. He's known for being a giant warmongering asshole. It's just that by the time that we meet Odin, he's in his old age. So he's a softer version. So he goes from being a hard dick to being a flaccid penis. But he's still a dick. Like Odin is known to be a jerk.
I don't know. He's taking in orphan children and raising them as his own. I don't know.
What you mean after he slaughtered all their people? So wait. So he goes to where the frost giants are, slaughters their people in war, then as a sign of peace, steals the baby of what's this dude's name? The king of the frost giant? Larfleeze or something like that? The king of the frost giants? Yeah, and then
Larfay.
Larfay, yeah. And then like we'll stop the war. Yeah, no shit. I have your kid. Like Odin is a dick.
That it's hard to disagree. The only thing that's different with that too is because it's technically weird because it's like, is it a dictator? Because it's kind of like he's like a king almost, right? And it's kind of like a thing where it's it's a monarch, exactly. And it's kind of one of those things where it's passed down because his father was the All Father, right? And then he's the All Father now, and eventually Thor becomes the All Father. Well, he's the All Father now, actually, in the current comic book. So right now, Thor is the monarch of Asgard.
But okay, so if that's the case, then technically, Darkseid isn't a dictator either, because his shit gets passed down. It's a family bloodline too.
Is it? I thought it's just him. Who came before him? I don't know this.
His father. Darkseid got what's his called, the Omega Beam, the Power Omega, whatever the fuck, the shit that comes out of his eyes, by like what, like he killed his brother or some shit like that. He became the Emperor of Apocalypse by like trial by combat, if I'm not mistaken. And I can see Rod's traps flexing on camera as he types. Fact checking.
Fact checking.
I'm not.
No, yeah. But if I'm not mistaken, I think that's like, yeah, it was like a blood right thing, like because his father was Emperor of Apocalypse. It's a
Yeah,
royal family.
I guess we're getting just caught up in labels, right? Like, I guess what we're
True.
trying to discuss is like leadership style.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
You can get like tied up with, monarch versus dictator.
Dictator,
When I
yeah.
think dictator, I think oppression. When I think the Asgardian people,
Right.
I don't know if they're oppressed, right? I
Right.
would think more Apocalypse, right? Because they're all like, they're all raggedy and they have to work those like flame engines.
Wait,
Right.
but Rod, if you remember, we had looked up a clip where I think Darkseid gets his ass kicked, and don't his people like bring him up or some shit and carry him away? Like those same enslaved people. So is it really oppression?
So
or
is it fear or love? What is this from, like the Goodfellas? Is
Yeah,
like
like-
Robert De Niro's speech?
yeah,
Like,
because
it's
like,
better to have people fear you than love you or some shit.
or maybe Apocalypse is just like a planet of masochists and shit. Like it's a total possibility.
And maybe because that's how it works too. Like, for example, like cult leaders and that kind of stuff. Like he's broken those people down, like he's tortured them for generations and broken them down to the point where they feel they have to rely on him to survive, to whatever basic shit Apocalypse, Darkseid gives them, they're like, well, they don't know how to fend for themselves because all they know is torture, so it's like, I don't know, man. I'm with Rod on this one.
What kind of economical system you think exists on Apocalypse?
Damn, none.
Flesh. They trade in flesh. A couple of other leaders from the DC universe are Black Adam and Sinestro.
Oh yeah,
Sinestro
word.
actually
Oh.
unified his entire planet, Korugar.
Hell yeah.
And I
Bunch
don't
of
remember
pig
too much about like the ins and outs about what happens on that Earth from Jeff Johns' run, but I know that he's like the world leader. Right? He's a one nation world.
But I
And if
remember, but they hate him. No, after a while, eventually he becomes hated by the people of his country, of his world, because he was kind of getting to the dictator's way of like oppressing, and then by fear and that kind of stuff. Because then I think they tried to overthrow him at some point. But then wasn't his planet then kind of like destroyed? I think too, part of Jeff Johns' run, which then pushes him to side with Hal Jordan. But I don't remember all of that. But yes, I do think that's another good choice.
And Black Adam, if I'm not mistaken, isn't he like a Victor Von Doom type? Where in Kandak, which is his country, is like it's almost like a. Damn, this is gonna sound stupid, but like it's almost like a benign oppression. Like where it's like they're not happy, but they're prosperous.
Damn, benign oppression.
Yeah. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, and he takes care of Kandak. Like the president is in the UN. The president personally deflects missiles in Kandak. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's the first. Like he's the first line of defense. He's the representation in the UN, if anything. Like it's a pretty like that's as much as being a monarch can possibly be. Yeah, so that's pretty crazy. Like in Kandak to have like a one-man Congress, a one-man executive branch, a one-man army. That's, I mean, at that point, and I think that Kandak, like his people aren't enslaved, right? It is like Latveria, where Kandak is a pretty prosperous nation.
I know nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about that.
I mean, I would say from the comics, it's like your generic Middle Eastern country, right?
What does that even mean?
Like just profiting off of, oil sales to the US, yada yada.
damn.
But you know what I've noticed though? Most of these characters that we're talking about are all villains, right? For some reason, politics attracts villainy. It's like a backdoor to power.
Woke as fuck.
However, there's one character that I've always liked, And that ties into the whole theme of, the fact that we have a new president. On Earth 23 in the DC universe, the president is Superman. And this particular character was designed to look like Barack Obama, essentially.
Damn right.
He played a big role in Grant Morrison. Shout out to Grant Morrison. We got news on him too. He, in his Multiversity graphic novel, right, that character plays a big role. His stories are like off the charts, like, interdimensional, interworld adventures. I haven't read his Green Lantern stuff recently, but that's one thing I'm looking at. But yes, that Earth 23 Superman, guys, look him up. Really cool character, really cool costume design too. And come on, it's Obama. I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, and that's a really fucking good point. You're right. I've read up him in like whenever he's appeared in other stories, right? Like I've never read like his proper book, and that'd be dope. And I remember hearing news at one point that they were trying to see if they could cast like Michael B. Jordan as President Superman. Like,
but I think they were angling toward Earth 2 Superman. For Michael B. Jordan, who's a different, black Superman. So there are two in the multiverse.
Oh.
There's the Earth 2. You guys can look him up too. He has a light blue costume with a white cape. Then there's Earth 23, who's essentially Barack Obama with superpowers.
And whoa. Oh wait, of course. Or they could actually cast Barack Obama.
Word.
That'd be wavy. An honorable mention, though, talking about Black Superman, to John Henry Irons, aka Steel, who came to prominence during the whole Death of Superman thing when he was originally killed by Doomsday, who is kind of like essentially like almost like an Iron Man type of character. He's like DC's War Machine, so to speak, as where you have a Colonel Rhodes who's in the Navy, if I'm not mistaken, and he happens to be black as well. You have John Henry Irons, who's a technical genius, and I don't mean that he's a genius by technicality. I mean that he's a genius with technology, and he creates the steel suit. And via his namesake, John Henry Irons, the hero of like American folklore, he happens to wield the hammer. And just a honorable shout out to another black Superman out there that people might have forgotten. And he was portrayed by Shaquille O'Neal in that really shitty movie from the 90s. Let's not forget.
You just reminded me, another hero that's in politics is Jefferson Pierce as Black Lightning. He's the minister of some shit. And he served on President Lex Luthor's cabinet. He's like, I'm here. Oh, the education or something. Education.
Okay. I was gonna say energy.
He's like, I think in way back, I'm not entirely sure, but in Jeff Loeb's Superman Batman run, he's like, I'm serving under President Luthor to keep him in check, essentially. Like I'm working the inside or some bullshit like that.
Respect.
Word.
See, that's epic. That's epic, yo.
Damn, I didn't know any of that. And I remember hearing, that Lex Luthor was president for a while, but I don't remember. I didn't read that story or anything. Like, how did that happen? And was it like legit?
The best. I didn't read his rise to the presidency. I think that happened in the Superman book way back. I'm not sure who wrote that, but the end of his presidency happens in that Superman Batman Volume 1, Public Enemies by Jeff Loeb and Ed McGuinness. Which was also adapted into an animated feature for the fans that just want to really just watch it versus reading it. That was also adapted pretty well too.
Right, because isn't that like one of the things, the first things he does as president, right, is to say like make them public enemies or something like that, right?
Right.
Like classic, like that, like that's like, come on, Lex, like that's your first thing that you do, like that's too on the fucking nose, man. Like shit.
Yeah, like I think I remember that from back in the day. And I see a bit of our current situation for the past couple of years in a President Lex.
Exactly. That's why I'm a little bit upset. We were almost living in a DC universe.
Damn.
But without a Superman, though, I'm not cool with that, though.
That's deep.
Well, I mean, technically, we still do have Barack Obama on this earth. So.
And also Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah, yes. Which come on now. Yeah, who is technically in our Earth? He's Black Adam, so
exactly. So, and I'm pretty sure either one of them could take on Trump. But that's no longer an issue now, well, depending on how much Trump decides to fight the results of the election. But like, hopefully then that's it. And we're done living in this like dark version of a DC version of our Earth.
Now we get our weekend at Bernie's president. Let's see
Yeah,
how long they can keep him like standing up.
And also, shout out to Kamala Harris for, I think, it's a triple historical moment. What is it? A triple threat?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Because it's like first woman. She's the first. Would you consider somebody who's Jamaican, African American? I always that's a bit of a tricky one.
I think yeah, exactly. So she's basically right. The first woman vice president, the first black person vice president, exactly, and also
half Indian.
Yeah.
So wowzers.
Damn, exactly. Fucking first. I saw this really cool video of like all the past vice presidents and like all hella white men, and like and the first ones look like a little like inbred, like it's like they all look too much the same. It looks weird.
Which early enough, total possibility. Total possibility.
Yeah.
There is nepotism in American politics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully some of that is starting to kind of shake a bit.
And, you know what I mean? And just to make a quick mention, because Rod said it earlier about Grant Morrison news talking about his run, right? Just a quick shout out, because Grant Morrison, if you guys were wondering what was the news, is that he recently, I think officially came out as non-binary, right? So neither identifying as man or woman, right? And so basically somewhere in between, just fluid, and identifies using by the they pronoun, which I think Rod was mentioning earlier off the air, that you felt that he's addressed that to some degree in past, right?
I not so much the non-binary thing, but like the ambiguous sexual orientation, like in past interviews he's spoken about. But yeah, I love Grant Morrison, and props to him for coming out, and for whoever else he inspires to do the same.
Right.
And we don't even go one episode without mentioning his work.
Hell yes. And I think this is really big. Obviously, I think for representation in the comic book industry, right? Because I was reading the interview where he officially made the statement that he's non-binary and what he likes about because he felt like when growing up as a kid in England, there was no term for that, so he just didn't know, and he would cross dress and stuff like that and just be gender fluid. But now that there's terms that exist and that he can identify as it and use it, and they listed a few other comic book creators and writers and artists that identify as non-binary too, which I've actually never heard of them, haven't really read their work, but I do think it's huge because Grant Morrison is fucking one of the biggest, writers, especially for DC and Marvel too. He wrote an incredible X-Men run, he's out there, and so good to give that representation out there for people to be like, yeah, that's cool.
Editor's note. The Legion on Zoom would like to apologize for using the incorrect pronoun when discussing Grant Morrison in the previous piece. Their preferred pronouns are they, their. We will make sure to use the correct pronoun whenever discussing their work in future episodes or correct ourselves in the moment.
I honestly think as a whole, for comic book creators of all sorts across the comic spectrum to be coming out in all shapes, forms, and sizes, because I think it's about time that they took on a bit of the strength they write and ink and create into the characters they've made, which is what I see. You know what I mean? I think they're finally being inspired by their own creations in a way. Because just across the board, within comics, it oddly enough, as the readers change from generation to generation, it's been an issue to write about, but we've never really seen an issue with the characters themselves being themselves. You know what I mean? Comic book characters, they seem to have their struggles with their sexual orientations and things like that, but for the most part, at the end, they always choose to be themselves. I have very little memory of any characters actually holding back when it comes to who they are. You know what I mean? Maybe because being a vigilante allows them such a therapeutic outlet. But I've always seen the characters that they create having the strength to be themselves. And I think it's just finally that, what's the correct term? That life is starting to imitate art.
Oh, Exactly. I think that's like exactly that's a very good point. Exactly. And then because we see in our comic book characters, right, all of this that they will, you know, overcome this adversity and then choose to be themselves, right? And so that's great to see the creators themselves doing that. And also just like, and then it's not exactly the same, you know, because for, obviously like with Grant Morrison, just to be sure, like it's how he identifies in terms of his gender. I don't know his sexual orientation because of that. Like he could just still be heterosexual, or it depends like what he sexually, you know, he's interested in. But in terms of how he identifies in gender, that's he's like where he's like it's fluid. And because I remember also reading like recently, like not that long ago, like I think was it Brian Michael Bendis that ended up changing that Iceman Bobby Drake is gay, you know, so for in terms of sexual orientation, and that he kept it hidden basically all of his adult life, you know, because it was during that comic book run, which I didn't really love, where they brought the X-Men from the past to the present, and then young Bobby Drake came out, but also not in a good way, not to get into that, because Jean Grey forced it out of his head, which is totally inappropriate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so then eventually adult Bobby Drake, because they were both existing at the same time, you know, Iceman also had to, you know, deal with that and accept like the difficulties of like being closeted in the X-Men for so many years. And that's a kind of weird, right? Because you would think in the X-Men, like if you're gonna be open, you know, about your identity and gender identity, sexual orientation, the X-Men would be the best place to do it, right? Because I feel like there's, you know, like it's a very diverse group, and I think they would be very welcoming for diversity.
I've never heard that fact that Jean Grey forced that out of Iceman's head. That's insane. That's like how
Yeah.
like how long ago was that?
This was, I think, 3 to 5 years ago or something. Because then Brian Michael Bendis got some backlash from it. Like people were
Exactly why I was
critiquing,
asking. Exactly
you
why I
know,
was asking.
yeah, because they were saying like that's not cool, dude. You know, because it was just basically young Jean Grey from the past. You know, basically prodded his mind and found out that, you know, he was gay and like confronted him on it. So like forcing him to come out and address it. And it was like, you know, Brian Michael Bendis, I think, was trying to make it a story about like, you know, for him giving him strength to come out and deal with it. But they were like, obviously a lot of the LGBTQ community was like, but that's not how you do it, man. Like let him do it on his own terms. Don't force it, especially so intrusively by like going into his head, you know.
Like, yeah, that kind of seems like it. Like common sense would dictate otherwise. It would just seem like, yeah, not that. Oh my God, yeah, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
That's so wild. Yeah, and yeah, so all we can do is hope that we see this wave of continued internal freedom continue to flourish across the comic book realm. You know what I mean? But one thing that we have to address before we end this little adventure. One of the most important questions of all, this being our political science episode, so to speak. We have to hold our own election here, the real election, the one that matters, the Legion's opinion. If we had our choice, what comic book character would be the president of the United States?
I'm gonna cop out on this one,
Oh.
guys. I'm gonna go with Steve Rogers.
I thought you were gonna. I'm not gonna lie. I thought that you were gonna say Zack Snyder.
Wait, hold on, wait.
You just blew his mind.
Wait, hold on. All right, wait. Let's not go there. Who is the president in the Snyderverse anyway? Have they shown the president of the U.S. in the Snyderverse?
No.
Nah,
I
right?
think. What about in the Superman movie? No, in the Man of Steel. I think wasn't there. Or there's a scene in Congress for right in or in BVS, right?
Yeah, it's just a senator that's like at odds with Lex Luthor. But anyway, coming back to why Steve Rogers should be the president, he has served in many, well, at least a handful of wars, right? World War II. Oh no, because he was frozen in time. So maybe one war he served in. All right, and against the Nazis. Number 2. He's used performance-enhancing drugs. So I assume that policy toward drugs is going to go across the board. He's going to legalize all kinds of drugs, whether it's gamma-infused, you know, or other types of drugs, right? Whatever. And then number 3, the reason why, is that he's going to obviously promote physical health. He's a physical specimen, whether or not that includes the usage of performance-enhancing drugs like the super soldier serum, whatever. Maybe he's just gonna start pumping up Americans across the board, creating like a super soldier army. Anyway, he's from Brooklyn. That's a fourth reason. That's why I want Steve Rogers as my president.
Damn. That's great.
It's a good argument.
Those are very good points. Exactly. You had like a thorough. I think we're good, right? Then that's it. I vote for Steve Rogers too. Like I think that's it. Like that was really good. I like the argument. It's maybe because the using the power enhancing drugs. Exactly. You would know that he would put a stop to the drug on wars appropriately. Yeah.
Right. The industrial prison complex, all that stuff, man. He's also the Earth, and he's not afraid to go head to head with any other branch that wants to impose their will on the American people.
Fuck that. My pick for president of the United States would be Bruce Wayne.
Oh,
Bruce Wayne for president. I mean, just think about it. Like all his time spent as Batman. Like just the fact of the shit that he could pull off on his own. I point to you the OMAC project. Holy shit. Like, come on. That man can run the U.S. government top to bottom. And at the same time, we can have all the faith in the world that he'll have humanity's best interests at heart.
Wait, so you're saying mass surveillance and invasion of privacy is a good
Yeah,
thing?
but at the same time, but coming from Bruce Wayne, yeah.
I don't know about it because it's still the principle of mass surveillance like that. I don't know. Like I trust Bruce Wayne more, but I don't know.
I'll take Bruce Wayne.
I think okay, I'm not entirely sure, but I think there was a arc, again, Superman, Batman, where he gained Superman's powers through some hocus pocus. And I think he tried to like usurp. I think he's so militant as a personality that I think he will eventually abuse the power, right? And like you said, the OMAC project, he's going to eventually try to impose so much justice or order. I think he's going to, go that route of like a Sinestro or something like that. That's just my opinion.
Damn, fair enough.
Yes. Damn, those are good choices. And good arguments. I don't agree with everything, especially with the first one.
Then if anything, you know what? Because I switched my choice, then I'll post this as an alternative. And I'll go with government first. President Thomas Howlett. Also known as, President Logan. I think that Logan, with all his years of experience in different wars, different countries, different armies, things like that, like his deep appreciation for philosophy, like he definitely has a sense of loss. He has lost. I think that aside from Bruce Wayne, my other choice for president, which I think would actually work, would be
Damn, Logan. I don't know. I think he.
Just a note, James Howlett, just the editor's note.
Oh, I thought it was Thomas Howlett.
Oh, I thought Thomas was like the middle name, exactly, like James Thomas something, like Logan Howlett.
I don't know why I had Thomas in my head, but yeah. Even though he is disqualified because he's Canadian, I think it's by birth.
You're right. You're correct. He could not be president of the U.S. I don't know if I would want that. I think he'd be too much of a, I don't know. I think he's not known for his tact of like in terms of social, like I cannot see him settling debates between, countries and coming up with agreements, and like treaties and stuff like that. He'd just be like, fuck, do whatever you want. And just like stab somebody.
But that's the thing. I don't think that Wolverine is like that at all. He's one of the most introspective characters in comics. He's not a savage. Like when there's needs to be, he approaches that. But he's one of the deepest characters in comic book lore.
You know what? Actually, good point to that. Like, he was he had when they had the schism, right? So Wolverine was the basically the headmaster for the Jean Grey School for Gifted Youngsters, and he was surprisingly not terrible as the headmaster, and everybody was like shocked, like how can Wolverine lead the school? And he did a good job, and so actually. It's not the same thing running a country versus running a school of like kids that you're teaching them how to use their powers. But that's I can see that now. I can see it.
I mean, but this is me being super woke. But hasn't that what America been for the past 200 some odd years? A kid with superpowers just trying to learn how to use them. Isn't that the great American experiment in essence?
What?
The most powers, yeah. So in essence, America
Yeah.
is a mutant.
Yeah. It's the youngest nation, right? With superpowers. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Who you got, Miguel? What's
I
up?
don't know, man. It's hard. It's actually, I've been thinking about this a lot. I can't really figure. I'm basically, I guess, like, because a part of me is actually, you know, because as a scientist myself, I kind of want to pick a scientist, you know, because I think that person's gonna fix a lot of shit wrong, not just for the U.S. but in the world, no, and we'll figure things out. So, like, for example, a part of me, one of the first things I was thinking about Reed Richards. I was thinking Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four could potentially be a good president, because he would figure it all out. Like, he would see, like, what's the problem? All right, well, we'll just do this, and then boom, and everybody gets access to proper health care. Everybody gets access to, you know, a good you know, financial, you know, stability, you know, and he'll easily figure out, like, oh, so what's happening in this other country, you know, like, you know, oh, they need this, well, all right, we'll figure it out, and they'll do it.
Yep.
You know, so
you know what? That has my vote. Never mind. Reed Richards.
I like that, because then you can play with that variant, right?
Reed Richards. I'll take Reed Richards.
He can't step foot. He definitely can't step foot. He can't step foot as it is.
Exactly.
But if he's the president, it's a declaration of war.
Exactly. Yeah. My only
civil war. No, it wouldn't be civil war. It would be world war.
Civil war there. Yeah, exactly. My only argument against him is that because he's not like, I think Reed Richards would be a good president also if he has a good cabinet, you know, because Reed Richards can be kind of socially like inept, you know, and just not make sometimes the best choices and think sometimes too pragmatically about stuff, you know, without really understanding the nuances of like the interactions, you know. So especially like with, you know, superpowers, like, I mean, countries, superpowers, I think he might be a little bit not the best at that, you know, but I don't think it, you know, but I think that would be a good workaround as long as he has a cabinet that can support him, like, where, you know, hopefully, well, I think the first lady, Invisible Woman, would help a fucking ton with that.
You
I
took
think
the words right out of my mouth. I was about to say that would balance out the, I guess, for lack of a better term, would be unintended callousness that he would have.
Yes, exactly.
That would be balanced out by
I fucking love that idea, and here's why. Because then you have Wakanda, Latveria, and Atlantis, and now the United States is under Reed Richards. So you have the makings of a huge Marvel storyline right there, right? The only thing about Reed Richards is that I would say that he, you know, he would be the president 1 hour of his day. Like, if you have like a comic strip where he's going about like his day-to-day life, you know, the first one he's like doing like, he's like, I don't know, shrinking down into some universe and organizing atoms, and he's gonna come out.
But remember,
tend to his kids, and then he's gonna visit other Reeds from other worlds, and you know, in the afternoon, and
but remember, he would have the full resources of the United States government as president, so he'd be able to delegate a shit ton of his work throughout different departments, because he would literally,
and he wouldn't want to, right?
You never know. He would have control over so much shit. Like his
hubris has shown in the past to be his downfall.
Yeah,
he doesn't treat things like the way he should.
Exactly.
Right, because he's so focused on the science and problem solving and things like that. But yeah, it's a good pick, and it would make for a kick-ass story.
Damn, you're right. I didn't think about it actually becoming a story. I'm like, yo, I want to read this now. All right, Marvel, where you at? I hope you're listening to this.
And isn't Captain Britain like a political figure? I don't remember.
Yeah, but we can't have him as president, because that would be just
something else.
That would be undoing the work of the founding fathers.
Because right now in the comic books it's Betsy Braddock, you know, former Psylocke is Captain Britain right now, actually. But yeah, no, but she's like, Captain Britain is like this basically. She represents Britain, obviously, you know, but like not as a political force. She's like kind of like the protector of England and Britain. And her ambassador she's the ambassador in Otherworld, which is this nexus of the multiverse. So it's a whole other thing. But,
That escalated very quickly.
yeah, I know. Exactly. But yeah, all right. Reed Richards for president. What's up?
Yeah. You know what? They got my vote. I think Reed
Yeah.
Richards won the election.
Dope.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
A dope ass story.
Facts.
Hell yeah. All
All
right.
right, gentlemen. Yeah. That I guess the Republic would be served best in the hands of Mr. Fantastic himself. There you have it, folks.
He would definitely cure COVID.
Oh
right?
my God. Like
OD.
that.
OD. Yeah. He would also cure COVID 20 through 21 and COVID 20 through 30. Oh, and on that note, folks, gentlemen, it's always a pleasure, always an honor. We will see all you folks out there again. Keep downloading and keep listening. And as usual, I'm Ches.
And I'm Miguel.
Rod.
And this is the Legion, guys. Peace.
Legion on Zoom, starring and produced by Jose Perez, aka Ches, Rodney Martinez, and myself, Miguel Arce. Please subscribe on wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or shoot us an email at legiononzoom@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Legion on Zoom.